So on video number one, where I took everybody around the house and showed them the scope of work that was about to commence on our property here in Gillette, one thing I forgot to talk about a little bit and mention was the cost of waiting. As I mentioned in that video, the hailstorm was in 2019. I was satisfied with what the insurance payout was minus depreciation. And all that gets factored into a payout on insurance proceeds. Obviously, it's frustrating when you're upgrading quality of product used. In this circumstance, we're going from vinyl to smartboard, smart trim. But with that said, I had mentioned that as we complete a project, we save up our money. My wife and I save up our money to move into the next project. And what happened was something that we couldn't have predicted. You can always assume that it may happen, but it did. This one caught us, and it caught us big. The cost of waiting on this one was this. 2020, as we all know and can look back, the Rona, whatever you want to call it, happened, and all of a sudden inflation kicked in, cost of business started going up, cost of materials radically went out of control, and labor went up at the same time. Now some of that's all suppressed 3 years later in 2023, but I will say this, it hasn't gone back down to pre-2020 levels, right? So the cost of waiting looks like this in a general format. What we got paid out on the roof and the siding, vinyl siding job on that house will now just cover the roof. So this siding job that we're about to go through will be strictly out of pocket, and that hurts a little bit. But I wouldn't trade it because we're not relying on credit cards at 30% interest or 19% interest or whatever. Our money's been sitting in the bank, accruing a little bit of interest from the bank, and so we've actually been making a little money versus losing it on credit cards or on a bank loan. We could have easily got a bank loan and tied this up after the concrete got done, but we chose not to. Again, we pay out of pocket. That's the return on investment on ourselves when you're not paying the bank or paying the credit cards. But in this circumstance, the cost of waiting was just that. Materials went up, labor went up, and I've probably waited it out as long as I'm comfortable doing. I felt like labor not so much, but material prices were going to suppress, which they did to some degree, and I'm thankful for that. But again, they're not pre-2020 levels, so that's just part of the trade-off, and that's just part of the world we live in, and you got to suck it up and own it. So that's me owning that decision, and again, I wouldn't trade it. I'm not suggesting that, or I'm not whining about it. I just want you to be aware that sometimes you can get caught, and you can't do nothing about it. So there again, that's part of why we've waited till 2023 to do this project. We maybe could have got it done last year, but this year is much more comfortable financially, knowing the circumstances that we're handed. So take that for what it is. Know that the cost of waiting can be much greater than you expect from time to time. Sometimes it's not that great at all, which is usually the case. Was the case I was hoping for, but in this circumstance that didn't happen. But we're gonna protect the integrity of that house and get it fixed now and move forward. So glad you're on board. Hope you enjoy the video the video series as we move through this project. And yeah, like I said before, if you got questions or want to know certain things, just message or call us or whatever, and be glad to entertain it. Thanks. Talk to you later.